Go ahead, Daniel.
Should I start?
Mhm.
Great. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Dr. Daniela Ayala Ortiz. I am a third-year resident at the Kaiser Santa Rosa Family Medicine Residency. I'm excited to be here. I'll be moderating today's presentation and introducing our speaker today. So this is our team. So big thank you to all of them. Without them, it couldn't be possible. So, and our mission, which most of you probably are aware of. And so now we want to do a little bit of heart math. So we ask everybody to participate and try to see if we can all get a little bit of heart math going today.
All right, we're going to shift and take charge and find confidence with stress. The first step is taking charge. If you want to shift your response to stress to have more capacity for endurance, you have to be able to take charge with your body. So the first step to take charge with your body is what we call a heart-focused breath. The reason why we start with a heart-focused breath is because your heart has a unique nervous system that communicates more to your brain than your brain does to your heart. In response to stress, the instinct of our brain is to shut down in portions. Because of that, our stress response is to narrow our focus and not take in all the information around us. That decreases our response to stress in performance and endurance. Don't do that. So when you can come to a place where you can shift your brain to be alert and calm, your brain starts working at its full capacity. So to shift from just alert to alert and calm, start with heart-focused breath. Find your heart, and then I want you to imagine breathing 5 slow breaths into your heart area. This automatically shifts your body energy to support your mind. 3 more breaths. 3, 4. Okay, take 1 more breath and then come back to me. We're going to move to the second step, find confidence. When your mind strengthens your whole body, that changes your heart rhythm from chaotic, which is common in stress, to smooth and strong. When your heart rhythm is smooth and strong, this affects your whole body's ability to endure. It increases your endurance with stress. Let me teach you how to do that. Find your brain, and I want you to focus your brain on an image that is positive and brings you positive emotions. Emotions like happy, admiration, belief. It might be an image that's a memory, a person, or something to come, like a performance, such as a basketball game. Athletes use this technique to increase their performance and endurance in training and in competition. But you can use this every day in your everyday experiences of stress. Once you have your picture, I want your body to follow your positive image. When we are stressed, we lose our boundaries and definition physically. So find your definition, find that distinction. Let yourself become more real along with that image. Now come back to your picture. Let's combine take charge and find confidence. So first, find your heart. Second, find your picture. And now I want you to breathe your picture into your heart area for a count of 5. Okay, 1 last breath. Come back into your environment. You should be in a more alert and calm state. This is a skill of take charge, find confidence that you can take anywhere you go to take charge of any stress circumstance. Take charge, find your confidence.
Right. I hope everybody found that a little bit helpful. I think it's always important to have a little bit of a strategy in terms of when you're feeling stressed or you're feeling a little bit out of control. So hope everybody found that helpful. So I'm excited to be here. I want to talk a little bit about, the diversity that is the healthcare careers, right? At least I didn't know a lot of different jobs, all the different jobs that exist within the healthcare vicinity of jobs. And, a lot of times we think about like certified nursing or nursing assistants, or nurses or doctors, and those are like the primary ones that come to mind when we think about healthcare careers. But there are many different aspects of this, and I think part of Mi Futuro's mission and just kind of reason for being is to kind of diversify that kind of thinking. And today is one of the special occasions of we're going to be speaking with one of our speakers who is actually talks about performance improvement, and at least I didn't know when I was in high school about this kind of stuff. So it's very exciting to have her be part of this today. So with that, I think I want to welcome and I'm very excited to have Michele Fleischacker here, who is the Director of Performance Improvement at Kaiser. And I work at Kaiser, and I've been here 2.5 years, and I've seen Michele around. So I'm excited to learn with you guys about her job and what she does. I encourage everybody to ask questions, either put them through the chat or raise your hand, and we'll have a Q&A after Michele speaks a little bit. So with that, I want to welcome and have Michele kind of take over here.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for inviting me here to speak with you today. Daniel, thanks for the introduction. My Futuro is an amazing organization, truly dedicated to advocating social equality and workforce diversity. To Michele for getting me involved a couple of years ago. And I'm honored and proud to get an opportunity to speak with you all here today. I think that having a healthcare career pathway speaker series is a great way, as you were saying, Daniel, to get a glimpse into a variety of jobs, both in the hospital and the clinic settings. My name is Michele Fleischacker, and I'm one of the administrators here in the hospital at Kaiser Permanente Santa Rosa Medical Center. My job title as Performance Improvement Director is not really a standard across healthcare. And so I thought I'd first start the conversation with telling you a little bit about what I do for my job, and then I can explain a little bit about how I got here. So my job in a nutshell is to teach people tools and methods to look at the work that they do every day and figure out how to improve it. So improving it might mean that we perform fewer errors, or that we are able to do the work faster, or that we provide better service to our customers, to our members. So let me give you an example. You guys are all students, and what you do for a living right now is you learn. And your measurement system right now are grades. That's how we know how much you've learned. And we can certainly argue about how well grades reflect how much you've learned, but that's the measurement system we use. So some of the processes that you use to learn to get those grades are attending lectures, you read materials, you solve problems, you participate in labs, you study for tests, you write papers, and I'm sure there's a lot of other things that you do to learn. So if I were going to work with you on a project, I would get you and a couple of your peers together, and we look at those processes like studying for a test, for example. And we try to find the most efficient way that you can study for a test to get the best results. So we might look at different methods like using flashcards, reviewing past quizzes, rewriting lecture notes, small group discussion, whatever the process is that you use to study. We would look at those, we compare those types of methods and the time that you use to study to try to figure out what combination yields the best result, the best grades, best test results. So that's basically what I do at the medical center. I go around and I teach and I mentor staff and leaders on how to improve their processes. And some of my time is spent in the classroom, literally teaching the tools and methods. Some of my time is spent with executives looking at our performance and the changes that are going on in our marketplace to figure out what strategies we need to deploy. Some of my time is spent playing around with data, and I call it playing because I love to do it, running statistical analysis to understand what drivers, like what study methods, will drive our performance, like our grades. But most of my time is spent working with teams, looking at the detailed steps that they do of their process, how they measure performance, and I mentor them as they work on their process to improve it, to reduce the frustration that they have, and to improve their outcomes. So that's basically what I do. So how did I get here? What career path did I take? So when I graduated high school back in the mid 80s, before you guys were born, that really sounds awful. I basically started working 2 jobs, one in retail and the other one in a warehouse as a materials handler. And I also started volunteering at Habitat for Humanity, building low-income housing. Habitat was great because Habitat gave me an opportunity to meet architects and contractors and civil engineers, which were jobs that I really had never seen before, and I got to learn and discover what they did. So my boss at the warehouse basically convinced me that if I wanted to go work and do construction work that I was seeing out at Habitat, I had to go back to school and get at least a 2-year engineering degree, that it was possible for me to do it and it was necessary if I wanted to do that kind of work. So honestly, I don't know if I would have gone back to school without his encouragement. So at 23 years old, I started attending community college. 5 years later, I earned my associate's degree in just engineering, and I transferred over to Santa Clara University. And 2 years later, I got my bachelor's degree of science in civil engineering. So this is where I'm going to make a plug for you guys. And I'm going to tell you, if you can possibly stay in school and get your degree now, in my opinion, I think it's just easier to do once you're already in school. Once I got out and was working full time, it made it much harder, 1, to give up the money, and 2, to have the time to go back to school. So that's my pitch to you. My degree is in civil engineering. And for those who don't know, civil engineers are people who build dams and bridges and airports and water systems and power plants. Really, civil engineers build big projects to improve the quality of life for communities. So I spent the first 10 years of my career building nuclear power plants in Taiwan for General Electric. And while I was with General Electric, I earned 2 certifications, a green belt and a black belt certification in Six Sigma. Six Sigma is the process improvement methodology, and very similar to the methodology that we use here at Kaiser Permanente. So after being there for 10 years, Pacific Gas and Electric recruited me from General Electric to become a leader to help them launch their performance improvement program. And they recruited me because I had a black belt certification from General Electric. I stayed with PG&E for 4 years, and while I was there, I earned my master black belt certification, which is the highest certification for performance improvement that you can earn. The certification and the experience of running the program at Pacific Gas and Electric is actually what got me the job at Kaiser Permanente. So, and I started out here as a director of performance improvement. So although I think knowing my path is kind of interesting, maybe not. I think what you guys really want to know is, hey, what are the other jobs? What are all kind of the jobs that are in performance improvement in healthcare, and how might I go about the different ways of getting into it? So I'm going to kind of start at the director role, which is the higher role. For a director role, what was required of me was a bachelor's of science and 10 years of experience. If I would have had my master's in healthcare administration, it would have only needed 5 years of experience. So again, I'm kind of making that pitch for you. If you can stay in and get the degree early, it'll help you shave years off of how much experience you have to have when you go to get a job. So most people in the role that I have today have a master's degree in healthcare administration or an MBA. So that's just kind of something for you to think about. There are other jobs in performance improvement. There are project managers, there are consultants, and there are practice specialists. All entry level for all of those jobs require at least a bachelor's degree, but it can be in a variety of things. It can be in healthcare administration, it can be a bachelor's of science and engineering, it can be a bachelor's of arts. The degree itself is not necessarily what hinges, it just needs to be a bachelor's degree, and you need to have at least 3 years of experience in project management and performance and group improvement. So really what you need is a green belt certification. That's really kind of what gets you in. So let me talk a minute about Lean Six Sigma certifications. Although there are some colleges that have certification programs for performance improvement, most people get certified through the company that they work for. And because of that, there's kind of different terminology that we use for performance improvement titles and certifications. But the nut of it is there's basically 4 levels. There's a yellow belt level. Above that is a green belt level. Above that is a black belt level. And above that's a master black belt level. So without going into the nitty gritty of requirements for all the belts, know that with all the belts, it requires some amount of classroom education and completing projects. So a yellow belt would complete 1 project, a green belt would complete 2, and basically has about 9 days worth of class time. That green belt will get you into some of those entry-level jobs. The black belt is kind of the golden ticket. So to be a black belt, you have to have completed your green belt, do 2 more weeks of training and 2 more projects, and start mentoring other people. And it's really the mentoring that I think is the most fun, and it's also where you learn the most. So that's kind of how you get into the program itself. I think it's helpful for people to understand performance improvement didn't really start in quality. Performance improvement and quality improvement started in manufacturing and industrial companies back in the 80s. It has a very long history, and it's been in healthcare for roughly about a decade, about 10 years. It's a growing field in healthcare, and most people who have a deep knowledge came from another industry like myself. So we're now starting to see, we've been in healthcare long enough that we're starting to see a growth in skills in people that have clinical knowledge. So you might find nurses in the quality department, or even non-clinicians that are project managers and consultants that have been in healthcare for a really long time are earning their black belt certifications. So really an influx now of people with great depth of knowledge about healthcare, and now have great depth of knowledge about how do I look at my process and look at my data to make improvement. So it's really pretty exciting. Okay, so what tips would I give students interested in a similar career? My advice, no matter at what level career you are in, follow your passion. Find the thing that makes you want to pop up out of bed in the morning and get going, and make sure that you get plenty of whatever that is in whichever job that you have. So for me, that is around coaching and helping people realize that they have abilities that they don't know that they have. Whatever it is for you, make sure that you cook it into whatever job that you have. Here's kind of the reality. Here's the scary reality. You're probably going to work for 50 years. So that seems daunting, but know that you're not going to be in the same job the whole time. It's okay to take a job, learn what you can from it, and decide that that job doesn't really fit you, you've outgrown it, or you don't like it, and change and do a different job. So don't feel like you get stuck. I definitely tell people, do not keep a job for the money or for the title. Do what you love to do, and you'll find a way to make a living doing it. I promise you'll find a way to make a living doing it. My second piece of advice is go to the Gemba. You're like, what is the Gemba? Go to the Gemba is a Japanese term that we use in performance improvement. It means go to where the work happens. So I know it can be really tough when you're in high school and college. You haven't had a chance to really experience enough different kinds of jobs to know what you want to do. And it's hard to then say, hey, I'm going to go to college for this one thing. One of the best classes I ever took at the junior college was this introduction to engineering class. And it basically allowed us to go every week and visit a different company. And we got to see what those engineers did and talk to those engineers. So one week we went to NASA in Mountain View, and we got to see space shuttles being wind tested. Super cool. One week we ended up being in a small company in Palo Alto where we worked on bicycle design and how toothpaste dispensers are designed, right? Something that seems so trivial, but kind of interesting. One week we went to the Pink Panther factory to see how glass was spun into insulation products. Very different than the other experiences. And then one week we went to a candy factory to find how jelly beans are made and how they get that little tiny stamp on a jelly bean to be perfect every time. So my point is, right, very different experiences that we had to go and see that work. And after we would go to those companies, I would call up people, the engineers that had volunteered to talk to us, and just do follow-up informational interviews with them to find out, what does your day-to-day job look like? What are the things that frustrate you about your job? What are the things that you love about your job? So what I'm going to say is this speaker series is awesome because it's the same kind of thing. And I promise you that if you call up the people that are involved in the series and you say, hey, I want to come visit you and see what your day-to-day job is, I want to interview you, they will be happy to do that. And it'll give you a chance to see what their work is really like. So go to the Gemba means go to where the work happens so that you can see what the work is like. All right. My last piece of advice is find a good mentor. Oh my gosh, I cannot say enough about the mentors that I've had that have guided me through my career. And I can see Daniel smiling, so that's a good thing. It probably means he's had it too. Yep. From the boss who told me to go back to school, to the teacher I had at the junior college that convinced me I could afford to go to a private university, even though I didn't have any money. She was right. She helped me figure out how to do it. to the CFO I had early in my career that talked to me and helped me with career life balance, and how moving up the chain actually freed her to have more freedom in her job and be able to balance that better. I've had some mentors that have just really had my back. Mentors are people that can see things that you're just unaware of, and they can tell you straight up when they think that you're making a bad choice. There are people out there that want to help you. If you want their help, you have to go ask them for the help. So go find yourself a good mentor. It will pay in ways that you can't even yet imagine. All right. So they asked me to answer the question around what's the demand. I think everybody in healthcare has probably told you the healthcare industry is growing. It's a growing market. As baby boomers retire, they need healthcare, more healthcare services. And as those of us, I'm not a baby boomer, I'm not that old, but as baby boomers are retiring, they're also freeing up all these jobs in nursing, physicians, non-clinical roles, and performance improvement roles. So we need you as young, high potential leaders to come fill the roles in healthcare. And we certainly need you if performance improvement sounds like it's something you're interested in. So please come, there is a big demand. And then I'm gonna end on this last question, which is what's my favorite part of the job? So today, my favorite part of the job is getting to talk to you, because I think this is a really important thing to do. And I think it's exciting to watch people that are earlier in their career try to figure out what they want to do. Overall, the favorite part of my job, hands down, is mentoring people. It's helping people grow their skills and their confidence, asking them questions so that they self-discover potential that they have. Specifically for me, it's the moment for me when someone that I'm coaching realizes that they can do something they never realized they could do before. That to me, that's like the hole-in-one shot when you go out and golf for me. And I get it almost every day. So I think personally, I have the best job in the medical center. I'm sure other people would tell you otherwise. But on that note, I'm happy to open it up for any questions that we have.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. That was very informative. I think it's important to realize, like there's so many jobs out there, and like this is one that I didn't really know too much about. So I'm really happy to learn more about it. There is a question about maybe if you could mention some specific things that you've implemented in your job that may have improved an outcome. Maybe if like a specific example or something like that.
Yeah, great. I can. So I'm in the hospital side. I'll tell you about some of the projects that we're working on just here today. So discharge is when a patient is in the hospital, we've decided they're ready to go home. You'd think it'd be pretty easy to go, okay, doctor writes the discharge orders, pharmacy fills their medications, we resolve whatever open issues they have, and we get them out the door. Turns out discharge isn't really that easy. And with COVID, it's been a lot harder. So a project that we have been working on that is pretty close to completion now is trying to get the discharge medications for patients. The doctor has now said, you're ready to go. These are the meds that you need to be on. That order's gone down to pharmacy. Pharmacy fills it, but patients don't have their family members here to pick up medications at the outpatient pharmacy anymore. So we had to work through some workflows to figure out who, for a while, we had a runner that would go down and pick up medications and bring them back. That has kind of changed with the increase in the patients that we have now. So we're working on a project that works on who goes down to the pharmacy, picks up the medications, how do we get them back to the patient, get the patient downstairs in a place where they can be picked up by their family member, and do it all in a way where we monitor COVID protocols and abide by all the rules. So that's one of about 50 projects we got going on.
Yeah, I would imagine, like, thank you for that. That helps kind of put your job into kind of a perspective. I would imagine that somebody who's interested in kind of like performance improvement would be more like a detail-oriented kind of person who likes to like think about the details and specifics, like who's going to do this job or who's going to do that. So I would say that that's somebody that likes to see or would excel in your job, I guess is kind of where I'm getting at. Would you agree? Or
yeah, so it's kind of interesting. The performance improvement person that's assigned to the team does a lot of facilitating. So when I became an engineer, I used to think it was all about the details and the data and writing the process maps. And turns out it's a lot about getting teams together and getting them jointly to put what are their steps that they do every day up on the wall, right? So I help them with the tool of putting a process map together, but they're the ones that have all the knowledge. I don't know what their process is, they do. So a lot of it is really facilitating other people and just helping to guide them through. So I don't mind playing with the data and I don't mind filling out the tools, but I need you as the physician that's working on the project to help me understand what's the physician do in this process, right? In the same way that I need everybody else to tell me what they're doing.
That makes a lot of sense. There's another question here about what can a student do right now who's interested in this career, like if they're in high school, what can they do? And did volunteering at Habitat for Humanity help you on your application in college?
Yeah, so I gotta say, Habitat, although I didn't get paid, right? That's the down part of volunteering is you don't get paid. But volunteering at different organizations to do different things gives you a chance to see and do things that you wouldn't normally do. So if you were interested in doing performance improvement work, I believe that Kaiser Permanente has a high school program where we bring high school kids, I should call you kids, young high school adults in to the hospital and clinic settings. And one of the things that we can do with them when they're here is teach them the performance improvement methodology and have them work on a project. So my general advice to you is if there's something, anything that you're interested in any type of industry or career, and you see that there's an opportunity to go volunteer to do it, give some of your time. If nothing else, what you're going to get out of it is to understand whether what you thought looked kind of cool to do is cool, or it really kind of sucks and you don't want to do it. So.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I would agree with that. Definitely. I always tell my mentees to not just tell your story, but like show your story, right? So like do it through whatever you are interested in. If you're interested in healthcare, go volunteer at, reading stories to kids at a hospital or whatever you may, just so you have that experience, because it wouldn't be very, very good to be like, oh, I'm already in med school and I realize I don't really like this, right? That's kind of like rough. It's a rough road to do. So definitely go experience whatever you're interested in and explore those experiences, especially in high school. It's a good time to just kind of branch out to do all of that. So
sure. So I think Sonoma County is the largest county worldwide for the number of companies that you have out there that are nonprofit. Wow. So if you want to do nonprofit work, here is the place to be able to volunteer and find almost anything that you want to do.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree. Anybody have any other questions? Anything else? Any last minute questions that we have? I don't see anything else in the chat. I think we talked about the demand already. Question that's in the chat, but I learned a lot today. So
great. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.
All right, so if there's no more questions, thank you so much, Michele, for taking time out of your very busy day mid-pandemic to come and volunteer with our students. Once again, we really appreciate it. And in the chat, it looks like people are saying thank you so much.
Thank you, Daisy.
It. So thank you. Round of applause, y'all.
Yay.
Yes. So really quick before people log off, Daniel has a few announcements and we will launch the poll. Please go ahead and answer it. And so thank you.
Yeah. So we want to invite y'all to our next session, which is next Wednesday. It's going to be Santa Rosa Community Health, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of different careers in the healthcare industry. And then we added a new bonus session the 17th with one of the core faculty here at the residency, Dr. Rob Martinez, who I work with closely, and he's very interested in the Latinx community and advocating for the Latinx community. So if you are interested and have time, join us for either one of those sessions or both of those sessions, so register for those. And here is the QR code that you can use to answer the poll questions. And then please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can see our logins on the side here. And yeah, thank you guys for joining us.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.